First, we have the Ottoman Empire. It lasted from 1453 when Mehmed II captured Constantinople and renamed it Istanbul.
Istanbul, even old New York was once New Amsterdam. Why they changed it, I can't say. You just liked it better that way. Istanbul was Constantinople, now it's Istanbul. Now Constantinople, that a long time ago. Constantinople, why did Constantinople get the works? That's nobody's business but the Turks.
At first, the army had been made up of Ghazi recruits or Muslim religious warriors, but as the Ottomans became more stable, they provided their military with heavier artillery. After they took over the Balkans, a new institution called Devashirme required the Balkans to send them young boys to become slaves to the sultans. They were specially trained, learned Turkish, and converted from Christianity to Islam. When they finally became part of the Ottoman army, they were known as Janissaries. The Ottomans faced no serious rival, so not having to worry about invasion, they simply focused on conquest. During Mehmed's reign, they expanded the Ottoman realm into Serbia, southern Greece, and Albania. Trebizond, the last Byzantine post, and Crimea. The high point of the Ottoman Empire came under the rule of Suleiman the Magnificent. He continued expansion further both southwest in Asia and Europe.
Unlike the Ottomans, the Ming Dynasty used their army mainly for defense. After they had overthrown the Yuan Dynasty, they kept a close watch on the Mongols and other nomadic peoples to the north. This was also the time at which China began construction of their legendary Great Wall. However, their main focus was the invaders from the north. They were ironically taken over by invaders from the north. These nomadic peoples were called the Manchus. And even more ironic is that the Ming armies actually allied with the Manchus to help them put down a revolt in the dynasty, which then ended up helping the Manchus to establish the Qing dynasty.
But because of this blend of schism and Turkish militancy, the Safavids developed some powerful enemies and did not have a well enough put together army to defend themselves. In 1514, the Sunni Ottomans launched the Battle of Calderon on the Safavids. Because they detest the Shiite Safavids and feared the spread of Safavid propaganda among the nomadic Turks in their own territory. The Safavids knew of gunpowder technology, but saw it as unmanly of us. Instead they trusted in protective charisma of their leader Shah Ismaili. However, their protective leader abandoned them, and needless to say, the Ottomans could have destroyed the Safavids if they had the right resources. 2 centuries later, the Safavids recovered from Shah Abbas the Great. He incorporated slaves of royal households into the army, increased the use of gunpowder weapons, and sought European assistance against the Ottomans and Portuguese in the Persian Gulf. The Safavids were then able to extend the empire in most northwestern Iran, the Caucasus, and Mesopotamia.
Unlike the Ottomans who said they were renowned Ghazis, or the Safavids who claimed to be champions of the schism, Zahir or Babur claimed to be nothing more than a soldier. He conquered as far as Delhi in India. Babur's son Akbar conquered the rest of India. In fact, Akbar was so desperate for power that he threw his army commander, Adim Khan, out a window.
Just do it. Ow.
Not once, but twice.
Just do it. Ow.
Just to be sure, he was dead after an argument in 1561. But Akbar was also a very intelligent leader. He was tolerant of all religions, and he remained Islam unlike his fake redhead Safavid neighbors. This changed when Aurangzeb took the throne. He reinstated the jizya tax, which was the Ottomans and Safavids used in their empires. Basically, as long as the subject people paid this tax, they'd be free to retain their personal freedoms, keep the property, practice their religion, and handle their own legal affairs.
The Chinese dynasties were not very into religiously and culturally living either. The Ming emperors set out to eradicate Mongol and other foreign influences and to instead revitalize the Chinese past. They did away with Mongol names and clothing and brought back Confucianism, the civil service examinations, and other things the Mongol rulers had either. When the Manchus formulated the Qing dynasty, they too did not want any mixture with foreign countries, including China. They outlawed intermarriage between the Manchus and Chinese, forbade the Chinese from traveling to Manchuria or learning the Manchurian language, and forced Chinese men to shave the front of their heads to show their submission. Both the Chinese and the Islamic empires resisted cultural influences from Western Europe as well. The only reason they really enjoyed interaction with Europe was for trade. The telescope was rejected because they thought it was unnecessary, and the printing press they viewed as a threat. They put limits on its use and the languages in which it could print. In 1729, these bans were lifted, but in 1742, after only 17 books had been published, conservative Muslims shut down the press. It wasn't until 1748 when a new one opened again. The only exception to the exclusion of European culture was the Russians.
The Russians actually made an expedition to Europe under Peter I so that they could remodel Russia after Europe. Based off of Peter's observations, he formed an army by offering better pay and recruiting peasants that served for life as professionals, ordered aristocrats to study mathematics and geometry so they could accurately aim cannons, began construction of the navy, overhauled the bureaucracy to facilitate tax collection and improve administrative efficiency, and forced his aristocratic subjects to wear European clothing and shave their heads. He also built a new seaport called St. Petersburg to serve as their capital and haven for the navy. Furthermore, Russia's largest expansion into Siberia didn't even require an army. Explorers simply made their way across the continent searching for furs. Once they reached the Pacific, social misfits, criminals, and even prisoners of war began to settle in Siberia because the harsh terrain and living there was actually better than how they were living in Russia. Some Siberian landowners offered lighter working conditions than in Russia, so peasants began to move in as well. Over time, Russian towns with Russian-speaking populations attending Orthodox churches arose. All in all, the Islamic empires and Chinese dynasties had a lot in common, but Russia, on the other hand, just had to be different. Almost like that one weird friend in every group.
I threw a wish in the well. Don't ask me, I'll never tell.
They did share in having tightly centralized government like the rest of them, though.
Expansion too close to the Ottoman Empire weakened realm forces decline in Russia when the European nations had to go against them in order to maintain the balance of power. This balance of power is the main reason the Ottomans remained undestroyed by the Russians. All the other empires fell due to internal dispute or foreign enemies. The Ming fell to foreign invaders, the Manchus, and the Qing went to decline when it stopped opium trade with Britain because Britain, too, therefore waged war. Then it finally fell to the Boxer Rebellion. The Safavids were simply not on good terms with their surrounding neighbors due to all their fake redhead propaganda. The Mughals fell to internal Hindu rebellion due to lack of religious tolerance. And Russia was just weak when they came in contact with the European forces.
Overhaul the bureaucracy to
Priscilla.
Constantinople been a long time gone. Constantinople, why did Constantinople get the works? That's nobody's business but the Turks. Istanbul.
Really fun.
Good one, Coach.
You're pretty good Cheetos, dude. So we're going on break.
I like Cheetos.
Didn't see you there. Hey, Coach Bill. Back in the back. You're the best.
Shout out to my homeboy.
Please give us a higher grade. We worked hard on
This
this.
is so bad,
I
but
had to put makeup on and it stings.
I like Cheetos.
I know you win.